The first chapter is reported in the third person, and this contains God's command to Hosea to marry a promiscuous woman as a symbol of God's own marriage with a faithless wife, Israel. Go get yourself a wife of whoredom and a children of whoredom, for the land will stray from following the Lord. So he marries this woman named Gomer, and she bears 3 children who have very inauspicious names. These names are symbolic of God's anger over Israel's religious infidelity. Jezreel because God plans to punish Jehu for his slaughter of the house of Ahab. Even though Ahab was no favorite of God, you still should not raise your hand against the Lord's anointed. And so Ahab will have to be avenged. Jehu will have to be punished at Jezreel, which is where the murder happened. Lo ruchama, which means not loved, not forgiven, because God will no longer love or forgive or pardon the house of Israel. And the third child's name is Lo ami, not my people, a sign that God has dissolved the covenant bond. He's rejected Israel as his people, divorced Israel. There really could be no more stark and shocking denial of the covenant than this. Chapter 3 contains a Hosea's first person account of God's command to him. There it said that God commands him to befriend, although he seems to hire, a woman on condition that she not consort with others. The woman again symbolizes Israel, who's brought into an exclusive relationship that requires her to remain faithful to one party, in contrast to her customary behavior. And then sandwiched between chapter 1 and chapter 3, both of which have the accounts of these relationships that are metaphors for God and Israel's relationship, sandwiched between them is the almost schizophrenic chapter 2. It contains, again, this sustained, violent, very violent account on the faithless wife, on faithless Israel, and God's formal declaration of divorce. She is not my wife, and I am not her husband. This would affect a divorce, the statement uttered by a husband. And we have that in verse 4. And yet, this chapter also contains a very gentle and very loving portrait of reconciliation. And it's in that portrait of reconciliation that we see another aspect of the covenant concept emerge, an aspect that was again most pronounced in the book of Deuteronomy. As Israel's covenant partner, God loves Israel, and he actually longs for her faithfulness. This steadfast covenantal love, one of the words that's used repeatedly is chesed, but it refers to a special kind of steadfast love, loyal love. This covenantal love will reconcile God to wayward Israel, just as Hosea is reunited or reconciled with his faithless wife. And the prophet imagines a return to the wilderness. And, God is imagining it would be wonderful if we could return to the wilderness and covenant again. And this time it would be a permanent and eternal marriage. And the 3 children who were cast off at birth, they will be redeemed and accepted by their father. Those are some of the ideas contained in this passage. This is Hosea 2, verses 16 to 25, the reconciliation.